I still remember the sound of her breathing at night. It was soft, almost careful, like she was afraid to take up too much space in the room. We shared the same bed, the same walls, the same routine, yet somehow I lived like I was alone. I didn't notice it then. I thought love was something that stayed even if you stopped touching it, like a picture hung on a wall that didn't need dusting. I was wrong. She used to wait for me to come home. Not in an obvious way. She never stood by the door or asked why I was late. She would just stay awake a little longer than she should have. I'd walk in and see the living room light still on, the TV muted, her phone face down on the table as if she'd been checking it every few minutes and then pretending she hadn't. She'd look up and smile, the same small smile she always gave me, the one that said, "You're here. That's enough." I would nod, maybe ask if she'd eaten, maybe not. My mind was always somewhere else. Work emails, deadlines, the noise in my head that I mistook for responsibility. I thought being present meant being physically there. I didn't know how absent I really was. At night, she would scroll through her phone beside me, the screen lighting up her face in the dark. Sometimes she'd turn toward me, like she wanted to say something. I'd already be halfway asleep or pretending to be. The blue light would fade, and she'd turn away again. I never asked what she wanted to say. I assumed if it was important, she'd say it anyway. She was loyal in a quiet way. She didn't demand reassurance. She didn't compare me to anyone else. She loved me like a habit, steady and unannounced. If I forgot something, she remembered it. If I was tired, she made space for it. If I was distant, she blamed herself. I didn't see the cost of that kind of love. I thought it was effortless because she made it look that way. There were signs. God, there were so many signs. Her messages got shorter, but she still replied quickly. Her laughter didn't reach her eyes anymore, but she still laughed when I joked. She stopped telling me about her day in detail. It was fine, became her answer to everything. I took that as peace, not as surrender. Sometimes I'd catch her staring at me when she thought I wasn't looking. Not with anger, not even sadness, just a kind of tired attention, like she was memorizing something she was about to lose. I should have asked her what was wrong. Instead, I asked myself why she looked so serious lately, as if it was something she was doing to me. We argued less, which I thought meant we were stable. The truth was, she had stopped fighting. She had learned that raising her voice didn't make me listen any better. Silence was easier. Silence hurt less than rejection. One night, it was raining. The kind of rain that blurs streetlights and turns the world into reflections. We were sitting in the same room, meters apart, both on our phones. I remember she said my name, very softly. I said, without looking up. There was a pause, a long one. Then she said nothing else. That pause followed us for weeks. She started going to bed earlier. Or maybe she just wanted to sleep before disappointment had a chance to sit beside her. I'd come in later and see her facing the wall, curled up like she was protecting something fragile inside herself. I never pulled her closer. I told myself I didn't want to wake her. I thought love would wait for me to catch up. The day she stopped asking where I was going, I should have known. The day she stopped reminding me to text when I'd be late, I should have known. The day she stopped looking relieved when I came home, I should have known. But I was comfortable. Comfort is dangerous like that. It convinces you that nothing can change because nothing has yet. She didn't leave suddenly. That's the part people don't understand. She left slowly, over months, while still sleeping next to me, still folding my clothes, still asking if I wanted tea. She left in pieces, and I didn't notice because she never made noise while doing it. The last conversation we had wasn't dramatic. No shouting, no tears. She sat across from me, hands wrapped around a cold cup of coffee, and said she felt lonely. I remember feeling defensive. How could she feel lonely when I was right there? I told her she was overthinking. I told her we were fine. I told her things would slow down soon. She nodded. She always nodded. That's what breaks me now. After that, she became quieter than I'd ever known her to be. The house felt bigger, emptier, even though she was still there. I'd lie awake at night, listening to the rain, noticing for the first time that her breathing sounded different. Not softer, further away. Then one evening, I came home and her shoes were gone. Not everything, just her shoes. Her toothbrush was still in the bathroom. Her mug still on the shelf. But her shoes were gone, and something inside me collapsed in a way I can't explain. I called her name. No answer. I checked my phone. No messages. I told myself not to panic. I told myself she'd be back. She was back. Later, calm, too calm, she told me she was going to stay somewhere else for a while. I need space, she said. Not angrily, almost apologetically, like she was sorry for needing something. That night, I lay in bed alone for the first time in years. The silence was unbearable. The room felt unfamiliar. I stared at my phone, waiting for her to text, to say she missed me, to say this was temporary. The screen stayed dark. Days passed, then weeks. I started noticing her absence in the smallest things. No one reminded me to eat. No one waited up. No one asked if I was okay in that soft, indirect way she had. I replayed our conversations in my head, hearing the pauses I'd ignored, the words she'd swallowed. I realized too late that she had loved me out loud while I loved her silently, assuming she'd always understand. When she finally came to collect the rest of her things, the rain was back. She moved through the apartment like a guest. Polite, distant. I wanted to tell her I'd changed. I wanted to tell her I finally saw her. But seeing someone after they've learned to live without being seen is useless. She hugged me goodbye. It was brief, careful, like hugging a memory instead of a person. Now, I live in the quiet she left behind. I hear her in the rain, in the pauses between notifications, in the empty side of the bed. I understand everything now, too clearly, too late. I missed her presence while she was still.